Hello, how's it going? Welcome. My name's Michaela. This is Zen in the Art of Being, and this is our third and probably final live hive of 2020. So thank you for coming. We don't get in the hive much in winter, so this is one of the last ones for the season until next spring. We're opening my small hive today, and we're going to be looking for a couple different things. First of all, we're going to be looking for how this hive is prepared to go into winter. I know already I'm going to have to feed them a lot, but we just want to see everything that's going on in there. And then secondly, this hive has caused me a lot of anxiety and worry because they decided to make a new queen really late in the season. I saw her for the first time a couple weeks ago, but I don't know if she's started laying eggs. She hadn't as of a week ago or a couple weeks ago, so that's the other main thing we're looking for today. I am doing all this on my own today because Peter's at work, so I will hopefully be able to answer your questions and comments. Hi, Alice! So early for you. And yeah, I got some great questions from people on Instagram too, so we'll answer those and go ahead and get started. So since Alice is here, I will answer one of her questions from Instagram that actually fits in with what we're doing today. And that is, how do you help your bees through the winter? Or do you get new colonies every spring? And the answer is no. Hopefully you don't have to get new colonies in the spring because you want your bees to survive. There's a few different things that you can do to help them get through winter. The first is check their stores, make sure that they have enough honey to get through, and if not, we have to feed them because we don't want them to starve going into winter. I know already this hive is light, so I'm going to have to feed them a bunch during winter. The other thing that we've got to do is make sure they're strong and healthy going in. And one of the problems that bees face is varroa mite infestation. So a good varroa mite management throughout the season makes sure that you've got a handle on that. So if you've been keeping up with your mite checks throughout the season and treating when necessary, that helps make sure they're strong and healthy going into winter. So this is the old sugar water. They've actually drank all of that. Goodness, so sticky. And then another piece of that is that going into winter, we also want their population to be nice and big so that they can keep each other warm and happy. And so that's another reason we're looking today, is to see if that queen is laying and making those winter bees that'll be sending the colony into winter. Actually, no. Alright, so hive inspection, we're just going to go through these frames one by one and see what's going on. And I know this one is going to be pretty light in here. They haven't filled out this whole box. This first frame is always the hardest. Can't see that. This is our first frame. There's nothing going on that side. This side, it's pretty messy. It's like a mess. This is why I have it on the end. they've built it up away from the plastic foundation a little bit, which is frustrating as a beekeeper, because it's nicer to be flat, but it's fine. I generally try to let them do whatever they want to do. So another question that came over on Instagram, I think it was also from Alice, was about the average lifespan for a queen. So queens usually live about 3 to 5 years in nature. Beekeepers will often actually replace the queen every year or two to get different desirable traits, like increased honey production or things like that. I'm kind of the mindset I'll let the bees replace her when she needs to be replaced. And when they do that, which is what this hive has done, the old queen usually just disappears. I mean, she's killed by either the new queen or the bees themselves. Sometimes they actually coexist in the hive for a little bit, so in that way she does kind of retire and take it easy for a little bit, but for the most part there's only one queen in a hive. Naturally she'll live 3 to 5 years, but usually beekeepers will requeen sooner than that. So this frame doesn't have a whole lot going on, but it does have some uncapped honey. And they're all drinking it. I don't know if you can see that. The number one rule when doing a hive inspection is to move slow and gentle. So no sudden movements. Just go as gently as possible. I like to think of it like doing Tai Chi, just like slow, very intentional movements. So this frame, I actually this is a wax foundation, and they've started eating it away and I guess reusing the wax. This is awesome. This is awesome. So, if you can see these, let me get a better view here. Oh, this is so great. I'm a happy beekeeper. So, let's do that. If you can see kind of these papery coverings, that means that's capped brood. Those are going to hatch into worker bees, and capped brood that isn't drone brood indicates that there is a mated queen in this hive, which means my queen that got made late in the season managed to get mated at least well enough to lay some eggs and make some new bees to get us through winter. It's funny how important the weather is and like seasons and stuff to bees and beekeeping. So that is awesome. I'm very happy. Okay, so other side of that, we've got some more capped brood. We've got some honey. That's so great. Man, okay. I don't know if you can see very well on here. This little girl here has her pollen on her back legs, carrying it around. So they're still bringing in pollen, which is great. They probably aren't bringing in much nectar anymore. It's getting pretty late for that. All right, so that's good. I mean, if we were just doing a quick little inspection, we could actually close it up because now I know that the queen is mated and good, and that's really great. But since we're doing a live stream, we'll open this up and show you guys more. Check the comments real quick. Hello, Magic Llamas and Alice. So some people say that the bees recognize their beekeeper. I don't know for sure, but I would sure love to think so, because that's just fun. I do think they like me. All right, so we're on this room now. Okay. Oh my gosh. Man, these girls are making me super happy today. So here's some more capped brood. Sorry about the cameras. I gotta try to remember to get the angles. So again, more babies. So all of these little cells are going to hatch to become worker bees. If they were going to become drones, which are the males, they would actually have domed cappings up top so we could see that. Let's see what else is going on here. Man, I'm so happy. I don't know how well you can see in these cells here. You can see little worm-like things. So that's actually larva. When the queen lays an egg, it hatches in 3 days to become a little larva and changes size, keeps growing and growing until it's capped, like these ones, and then it undergoes more metamorphosis into an adult bee. Outside of the cappings, these things. Wait until that goes fast. Outside of the cappings, the larva, so this stage is a larva stage. Under the cappings, it's become a pupa stage. Just some bee vocabulary. They're all over my hands. Going by, so I don't want to get drowned out. So Emily over on Instagram had asked me how many bees are in a hive, and if we're looking at one of these frames, if it's fully covered, this one's not quite fully covered, but it's between half and full, I would say. If it's fully covered, you're gonna have 1,750 bees on this frame, which is crazy. It's amazing to think that these are the numbers we're talking about, especially when you're talking about stinging insects, right? So for an entire hive, this one's going to be a little bit smaller. It's probably in the 10,000 bee range, but a bigger, more established hive could be up in the 60, 70, 80,000 bees in just a couple of boxes. It's crazy. So lots of bees. And I think she also asked, is there more than one hive? So I have these two hives. So I have this one that's tiny and one more behind me that's a little bit bigger. It's a year older, and it's probably closer to the, I don't know, 50,000 bee range. So lots of little bodies in there. And in each hive, so each hive is a single colony, And within the colony, you've got one queen bee, tens of thousands of worker bees, which are all female. And then in the summertime, you have a few hundred, maybe, drones, which are the male bees. In the winter, the males get kicked out of the hive because they don't do anything and they're drained on resources. Alright, sorry girls. So more capped brood, which is exactly what we wanted to see. Some honey. Let's see if I can grab that. Let's do this. So there's some honey in here. More capped brood. So those papery cappings are going to be hatched bees here in a few days. A few weeks possibly, depending on when they were capped. Yeah. Man, this is so exciting. So happy. Kind of trying to keep an eye out for the queen here. And this frame, so the first frame we pulled out had foundation in it, which is a plastic sheet to guide them. This one is clear through. There's no sheet. I really like the idea of letting them make whatever they want to make in kind of natural shapes. But you can see sometimes they go a little crazy. Like, it should be flat, but this little area, they've gone kind of perpendicular. I don't mind, but it does make kind of a mess sometimes in the hive for the beekeeper to clean up. Alright, come see AC comments. So bees are actually super clean. The bee excrement, they will actually leave the hive and go do their business outside of the hive, so it does not get into the honey. In the winter, if you've got like snow out in front of your hive, you can see a path of bee bodily fluids, excrement, all sorts of fun stuff, showing where they had gone, because they will leave the hive in the winter to go pee and poop out there. Alright. And Gretchen also asked over on Instagram, where do bees go in your neighborhood if you don't have a hive? So, like, where are they living if you don't think you've got beekeepers in your neighborhood? It depends. Wow. My smoker is usually not so good. So if you've got native bees, bumblebees live underground in little nests. They live in colonies of like hundreds of bees, whereas honeybees live in colonies of tens of thousands of bees, like we talked about. So bumblebees live underground. Other native bees are solitary, like the ones that you might get one of those mason bee houses for. So they live in like cracks or like under foliage and things like that. If you see honeybees that you don't think there's a beekeeper in your neighborhood, it's possible they live in a tree. They love to live in like cracks in trees. Anything that has a small entrance into kind of a larger cavity, they think that's a really good home. And this guy named Thomas Seeley has done a lot of really cool research on how honeybees select a home when they get to pick their own places, and he's figured out like the ideal volume of a chamber that they would like, the ideal size of an entrance, the ideal height off the ground, all of that. But yeah, if they're in your neighborhood and you don't think you have beekeepers, you might have beekeepers. Or they're living kind of in the wild, probably in trees, or in other protected areas. They also like to get in like homes, like in walls or in sprinkler boxes, or just protected cavities is what they like to live in. So there's a lot of really cool channels on Instagram who do bee rescue, and they video their rescues from things like that. And it's crazy, some of these homes that they build in human homes in different places. So you should check that out. And if you ever see honeybees just like in your yard or something, don't spray them. Call a beekeeper to come rescue them, please. So let's see. This is a quick inspection, which makes this one kind of good for a live hive. So this is a good example of kind of crazy comb. I had to nail it down. Oh, sorry. Nail it down onto the frame, but then they've started attaching it down here. There's nothing on that, and I don't think there's going to be much in the rest of this hive. And Matt asked over on Instagram about how do bees stay warm in the winter? And that's a great question. It's actually super cool. It's one of my favorite things about bees is how well they can thermoregulate their hive. This is just empty honeycomb. And so is that last frame. So what they do is in the winter, they'll actually form a cluster around the queen and any brood, which is the babies. And the brood needs to stay at like 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's like 32 or something Celsius, which is hot if it's 0 outside, if it's freezing. So the bees will form this cluster, and as the ambient temperature outside drops, they are going to tighten. The bees on the outside will kind of tighten up. And as the ambient temperature rises, they'll spread out to allow more airflow. If it's getting really cold, they'll all cluster together around that queen and then actually vibrate their wing muscles. So their wings aren't moving, they're just going to vibrate their muscles. And the effects of thousands of bees doing that can raise that internal temperature to the critical 95 degrees. It's crazy. And then in summer, if it's too hot, they have a lot of ways to cool the hive down as well. But it's really, really amazing that they can do that. So we're pretty much done with the inspection because this is a small hive. We know we have a queen in there because we have brood and babies. But I'm going to go through and do one more pass on everything and see if we can find her. Because I want you guys to help me name her. So Daniela had asked on Instagram, how does one get over their fear of bees? And I think that there's a couple really good ways to do that. And one of those, I would suggest learning. Just learn. Read about bees, learn about how incredible they are. Like how cool is it that they can just regulate their hive temperature at 95 degrees, whether it's 110 outside or -40. They always keep it that temperature. It's just so cool. Like you learn little facts like that, and at least it makes you appreciate them more as a pretty awesome little creature. And maybe you would learn to kind of love them, kind of replace the fear with other emotions towards them. And then, if you can find a beekeeper, bee people love to talk about bees and show off their bees, as you can see. So if you can find a beekeeper who has an extra bee suit and wouldn't mind if you just came and watched them do an inspection, you don't have to stand near them. You can stand at a distance and just watch as they work with the bees, and you can maybe overcome some fear that way. Obviously, if you're super allergic or something, maybe don't do that. Maybe come to my live hives instead, because you can watch from the safety of your home. But yeah, I think that those are probably some good steps to get started, not feeling so scared of bees. So I'll point out the pollen here. Can you see like these kind of colored little places? They're orangish. Those are pollen. That's where they store their pollen, so that's their main source of protein for food. And then anything shiny in there is actually honey. That's not quite to the proper moisture content to cap yet. This up here would be capped honey, so they've dehydrated it enough to the proper level to be capped. And that's what they'll eat all winter long. I'm still not seeing my queen. Historically, I'm not the best queen finder, so we'll see. But yeah. And it doesn't help when they build their comb a little crazy, like off the foundation with gaps behind and kind of all over the place, because it gives her lots of places to hide. She doesn't like to be seen. Oh, I'll show you guys this. So, see that guy? He's a little bit bigger, kind of chunky. And I don't know if you can see on there very well, but his eyes are also really bulbous, kind of on the top of his head. Those two. There's two like that. Oh, three there. Those are drones. So those are the boy bees. I'm actually surprised there's still drones in here. I thought they would kick them out when it started getting cold. I guess we're not there yet, but yeah, those are the drones. Soon they will not be here anymore. Just looking for the queen. Daniela also asked about harvesting honey, if it's bad for the hive, and how is there a certain amount of honey you should harvest, or do you harvest the whole thing all at once? So harvesting honey in itself is not bad for the hive. You should leave what they need to get through the winter. In Colorado, it's generally accepted that they need two of these boxes full to get through the winter. Obviously this one only doesn't even have a full box, so I'm going to need to feed them a whole bunch. But I knew that, and that's pretty much where my hive was last year, and we got her through. So hopefully we can do the same, but as long as you leave enough for them to survive on, it's not bad for the hive. And you can harvest as much as you like. A lot of beekeepers make varietal honey, so that means like they say it's lavender honey, or it's from one particular plant. And there's rules. You have to get your honey analyzed to see if it meets the criteria to be qualified as one of those. But so if you were doing that, you might harvest like at the end of the lavender nectar flow, so that you could say that it was lavender honey. But yeah, you could do that. You can harvest as your boxes get ready for harvest throughout the season. You could, I don't know, you could harvest only once at the end of the season. A lot of beekeepers do that too and make a whole event out of it. So really just whatever floats the beekeeper's boat. I really want to find the queen, but I just don't see her. Where are you? Well, we might not be having much luck today with that. But we have seen capped brood, which is really great. We've seen drones, we've seen honey and pollen, we've seen messed up honeycomb and very nice straight even honeycomb. So we've seen almost everything that you could possibly want. I'll pop over there and check out the comments. I see stuff coming up. So when we're looking for the queen, what we look for is an elongated abdomen. She's going to have longer legs. She has a bald thorax. And more than that, we kind of look for behavior. So it's look for the different thing. So she'll be the one that's like plowing through everyone like she's the boss, 'cause she is. And the bees might be kind of around her in a circle and kind of following her. So another beekeeper described it as looking for the wake, like the wake behind a boat. So you would kind of look for that behind her. Doesn't look like I'm gonna have much luck though. And this is such a small hive, it's almost embarrassing not to be able to find her. Maybe one of you saw her, that would be awesome. I don't know how well you guys can hear the buzzing too, but so far it's pretty calm. But when they start to really get annoyed with me, they will let me know. Oh, good question. So Gretchen asked if the bee ever gets to leave the hive or if she just stays in there. She leaves the hive basically twice. Well, for two time periods. The first one being for her mating flights, which may be a few flights over a few days. So it could be a few times, but she'll leave and go get mated. She'll actually mate with like 15 drones or something, like several drones at a time. Get lots of different genetics for her eggs. So she'll leave then, and then the other time she will leave is when she swarms. So bees, kind of the reproductive unit of a bee is not an individual bee, it's more the colony. So for a colony to go from one colony to two colonies, that's kind of the reproduction of it, that is done by swarming. So the queen actually slims down, she gets skinny, loses some weight, and then she leaves with half the bees in the hive, and they go find a new home. And it's really crazy how they decide how to find a new home. But they look for kind of what we were talking about earlier, the right sized cavern that's protected and has a good sized entrance, kind of small and defendable. So they'll leave, and then they will make a new queen at the old hive, and the old queen will be at the new home. So that's really the only time she ever leaves. This hive in particular is on its third queen of this season. The first one I actually lost. So that was my fault. She flew away when I was marking her, and she had never had a mating flight from this location. Oh, look who we found! Alright guys, that's awesome. So here's our queen. So yeah, she had no way of knowing like where she was or how to get back. So she did not come back. Can you guys see that? I have no idea if this is in the camera. Right there, that's our queen. So now that you've seen her, she's right there. I would love it if you would help me name her. Right there. Her long abdomen. So her wings kind of come to a shorter location on the abdomen. I hope that this is showing up. And she's got longer legs. If you can see that. She kind of just walks wherever she wants. I wonder if we'll see her lay an egg. That would be pretty cool. I forgot to put my beekeeping gloves on, I just realized. Yeah, so the first queen of this hive I lost, my fault. The second queen I spent $60 on to buy her. I had her shipped here. She came overnight, and she was marked, so I didn't have to worry about marking her. But here she is, you guys. She's kind of in that cavern, and now she's on the other side. She doesn't like us to look at her. She's a little camera shy. Where'd you go? Anyway, I don't know what happened to that queen that I bought, but they made this new one, and so something was probably wrong with her that I didn't know about. She probably had some sort of disease, or she wasn't laying enough eggs for them or something. I generally tend to think that the bees know what they're doing. they don't need me to tell them that my $60 queen is the right queen for them. So if they want to make a new one, they can. There she is. Right there. Cool. All right, well, now we've seen her, and we knew she was in there anyway because of all the babies, but we'll go ahead and put them back now. Yeah, I need name ideas for that beautiful lady. Look at this. Oh, well, she left. She had a lot of pollen on her. Cool. Buzz Hiveman. Okay, that's our first suggestion. And yeah, we may go have a vote over on Instagram. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram, you should, because I post a lot of fun stuff over there. Lots of in the hive photos and things. This is cute. Okay. I don't know if you can tell that the volume is a little bit higher than it was. You guys see that girl? She got pollen on her. They can carry something like 3 times? Now I can't remember. Multiple times their body weight in pollen on their legs. And it's kind of the equivalent of a human carrying like a toddler on each leg and then flying. It's pretty incredible. Alright. So at this point we're pretty much just gonna close them up and leave them alone. You can see there's some activity. They're a little bit more riled up than they were when I started. If I didn't get to your question, I think I actually got to most of them. But if I didn't, I will address them over on Instagram, or maybe in the comments below this video when it posts. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Beyonce. That's funny. You guys are funny. Thank you for joining for our little live hive. Hopefully you learned something fun or enjoyed seeing inside. Hopefully my camera work wasn't too bad. And we'll see you next time. Bye.